You are talking and you see his face change. And lo and behold, you just yourself. You soften the ending of your own sentence and you wind up explaining far more than you should, far more than you ever planned to. You try and keep things smooth. I've been noticing something about this entire thing. I've been noticing something about focusing too much on where he is. And I want to call that out. I'd say that something about that needs to be named. You get tired of doing all of this work. I mean, you're doing it for the relationship, but in a way, you're doing it on his behalf. You're managing your emotions, but you're also trying to manage theirs. Some of this is centering men. And we don't just wake up and decide that we're going to center him. This kind of happens slowly. You kind of start by checking their mood. Is his temperature okay? Is he distant? Did what I say offend him? And it's a bit of a balancing act, true, but you also want to be thinking about your own needs. You're careful about what you say in your text message before you hit reply. You find yourself replaying their tone in your head, and in conversation, you adjust the next sentence before it even comes out of your mouth. And before you know it, you're more aware of where they stand than where you stand. And it really is exhausting. Not only is it exhausting, but it's also futile, pointless, because it doesn't build you. It doesn't build us. The thing is, we're good at reading the room, especially when the room is the relationship that we have. When you feel them pull back instead of you staying steady, you lean in, you check in. You hear tone change and you lower your own. And oh my gosh, the degree to which you do this, if you think he's a catch, increases even more. Well, I know that's true for me. If I'm convinced he's a catch, girl, I'm softening even faster. My God. We find ourselves explaining more than we ever planned and smoothing moments that should have just stayed there in silence. It's not our job to rush in and fix these broken parts. It's not our job alone to rush in and fix these awkward parts in our relationships. So let me say this. You're not waiting for something to happen. So you're not reacting to something. You just you just find yourself constantly adjusting before the thing even happens. And those things are different. You find that you're living just adjusting things before they happen. And that's really too much. You see it in his face and you find yourself editing in real time. You're talking, and his face does this weird thing. And you change what you're about to say mid-sentence. That is labor. Or you can stay with yourself in those moments. Now, I know that nobody asks us to do any of this work. I know it, but we do it anyway. Somehow we wind up doing the work. And I would argue that both of you want the relationship to last. But somehow, well, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that part. Maybe that's the point of it all. But some of the point here is that you have to see if they want it as much as you do. So we do all this work. Nobody's asking us to do it. And over time, we do get pretty good at it, I would say. But by midlife, something changes. And, you don't feel, you're not interested. You don't really want to keep doing it. You want to change to meet your new reality. We get to a place that we no longer want to keep doing the work of filling the silences that happen. We no longer want to be explaining ourselves before we finish a darn thought. It's a time when you don't want to keep adjusting yourself. But if you're constantly checking where he is, if you're changing your words because you see his face shift, if you're finishing your sentence differently than you started it, so as not to have a negative impact on him and you feel like on your relationship, if you're finishing your sentence differently than when you started it, all of this becomes your way of life. It becomes the way that y'all exist together. And it gets to be exhausting. Recently, I caught myself adjusting in real time. That's not the only time, but I've been paying attention to it more lately. I was watching his reaction, I was watching his face, and I changed what I was about to say, just like that. Not even finishing my thoughts the way that I started them. It is subtle, it can often be subtle, but it's still labor, and it's more than I want to carry in midlife. But here's what it looks like when you finally shift. You stop feeling the silence. Not feeling the silence, but filling the silence with words, with movement, with something. You stop lowering your tone. You stop rewriting your sentence halfway through. Instead, say what you mean. Say it once. And you let you let his face do whatever it's going to do. You let the pauses and the quiet sit there. You don't rush to rescue it. You don't rush to rescue his discomfort. And sometimes they step up, sometimes they don't. But when you see it, it is our responsibility to ourselves to call it what it is. It's us managing the emotional weight for the both of us. And part of that is not your work to do. Part of that is his work. So, you're talking, you see his face shift, grimace, whatever. These faces they have. And this time, don't change what you were about to say. Finish your sentence the way you started it. With the intention, the good intention that we often have. Finish it the way you started it. And let it land. All right. That's all I have for us today. Take care of yourself. No, I really do mean take care of yourself. All right. I will see you in the very next video. Bye for now.